Thank you, Judy. That raised my energy. Welcome all to Unity South Twin Cities this last Sunday of January already. That surprises me a little bit. I don't know about you, but the first month of the year has moved on by. So, yes, I am vamping because there are a number of people in the rotunda making their way here. Well, let's go ahead with our opening song, and maybe that will attract them to come into the sanctuary. Our opening song is the Grace Chant. You'll find the words on the back of your bulletin. Thy hands I commit my spirit, thy will is my will, heal me at depth, so that I may glorify God. Reveal that which needs to be revealed, heal that which needs to be healed, so that I may glorify God. Into thy hands I commit my spirit, thy will is my will, heal me at depth, so that I may glorify God. Reveal that which needs to be revealed, heal that which needs to be healed, so that I may glorify God. Well, you sound wonderful this morning. Well, it's good to be home in my church and home in my city. For those of you who don't know, I spent a week in St. Louis visiting friends I went to ministerial school with, and others enjoying the wonderful food in St. Louis. And I spoke at Unity South St. Louis. So that was a lot of fun. They invited me to come and take all their questions on Unity history, which, you know, is a lot of fun for me. So we had a great good time, but it's also even better to be home. So this morning I welcome all those who are joining us online through that amazing technology. Please use the chat button to let us know where you are watching from. It's always good. I enjoy the surprise of looking at the chat stream after the service to see who had joined us, and to just think that we have a friend in Phoenix, one in upstate New York, one who is in Iowa, but today is in Biloxi, Mississippi. So it's just neat to think of friends all around the country tuning in and sharing this time of celebrating life. So we are indeed grateful. For those of you sitting in the sanctuary that might have some technology, please mute it or whatever is necessary so that it doesn't chime in during the service. Judy Moen, our music director, is with our special guest, Crommert, this morning, who will give us her great music. And I have the privilege for, I think, almost the first time, being supported by the service assistant, Nancy E. Lee, who is also our prayer leader today. And are you on chaplain duty? Wow, she's busy today, so thank you for your loving service. So as we begin today in the lesson, I'll be talking about intention. And that is really what the prayer process is about, and why we start the service with a prayer and our statement of being, because it helps us focus and set our intention for this hour together, so that we know right from the start what is essentially important about what goes on in this hour. So I invite you to join me in prayer. Today we gather on the last Sunday of the first month of the year. Time marches on, but we can give our thanks for new beginnings. We are immersed in the ongoing stream of life, and within the flow of potential and possibility, we can find the ever-new opportunities of renewal, of new beginnings. In our collective prayer, we acknowledge that in the goodness of God, we were birthed into this world. By the grace of God, we have been kept all our life long, even unto this very hour. And by the love of God, fully revealed in the perfect idea of being that is the Christ, we are being made new day to day, month to month, year to year. For we live in the infinite and eternal process of becoming. We now commit ourselves to live the highest truth we know as we affirm our statement of being together. There is but one presence and one power in my life, in this church, and in the universe, God, the omnipotent good. And so it is, and we say, Amen. And it is now my privilege to invite board member, prayer chaplain, multi-talented human being, Nancy E. Lee, to the platform.
Good morning, everyone. Glad to be with you here today. Let's welcome our visitors that are joining in person or online. Please turn to the cameras in the back of the sanctuary and wave. We greet them by affirming we welcome you, we bless you, and we're glad you're with us today. Repeat that with me. We welcome you, we bless you, and we're glad you're with us today. For everyone who is here, we hold this thought: I behold the Christ in you. Let's speak it together. I behold the Christ in you. Take a moment to look around the sanctuary and behold the Christ Spirit that's in everyone. And let's use our imagination to acknowledge the same Christ Spirit in all our friends joining online. As we gather today at Unity South, it expands our hearts to acknowledge all faith traditions around the world and their traditions. Let us respect seekers elsewhere and everywhere who turn their attention towards the source of all. We offer this blessing for all religious communities. We honor and respect your spiritual practice. Now let us repeat that together. We honor and respect your spiritual practice. Now, returning our focus to our ministry, we join in the Unity South centering statement with focused thought and warmth of feeling. Centered in God, assured by faith, and prospered by divine love, we boldly move forward to serve humanity by building our lives and Unity South Church together. Today's announcements: join us next Sunday, February 6th, as Reverend Stacey begins a 4-week lesson series, The Universal Christ. Richard Rohr authored his powerful book to help everyone regain a sense of creation's original goodness. In his first lesson, Revealed in Us, as Us, Reverend Stacey takes up the similar theme in Unity that we are a divine image and likeness of our Creator. Judy Moen and Sean Hockett will gift us with their music, and Mark Johnson will be our service assistant. You're also encouraged to support our Valentine cookie fundraiser by pre-ordering Cookie Box after this service. Summer Rambler will be in the rotunda to assist you. So let us prepare for a time of community prayer as I first read the daily word for January 30th, 2022. The word is world peace. I envision all people living in harmony. Sometimes I wonder about my place in a world that is changing so rapidly. I realize that many of the world's people may be wondering the same thing. Change can feel scary, especially when I feel as though I have to navigate a shifting landscape alone. I expand my awareness and wonder whether others are feeling the way I do, feeling fearful or insecure can overwhelm feelings of peace. As peace seems further and further away, it's easy to drift into isolation and discord. I pray, reclaiming peace by feeling my divine identity as a child of God. I remember that all people share this divine identity. I include all the world's people in my prayer, envisioning us coming together in harmony to create a peaceful world. From Hebrews 12:14, pursue peace with everyone and the holiness without which no one will see the Lord. Thank you for that daily word. And now we will have a moment of community prayer. I acknowledge that we, in our prayers, there's a value and power in praying together. I'd like you to take a moment to just release all that's in your mind. Sit back. If you're comfortable, close your eyes and take a deep breath. I am centered in infinite peace. Drawing a calm breath, I bathe my mind in infinite peace. No circumstance can disturb or distract me. For inner peace is my natural state of being. As I am centered in God. God is peace. I am peace. As I pray in silence, I take this time to connect to the peacefulness within me. And now I would like to acknowledge the prayer requests that are here in our prayer box that Unity South has received. We behold and affirm the truth within these individuals. We know that Spirit is working in their lives as they further awaken to the presence of God as their health, supply, and sense of purpose. And we are so grateful for that. Let us now sing the Lord's Prayer and feel the truth that is expressed in this model of prayer taught by Jesus Christ.
Well, I figured since Reverend Stacey's talk today is about intention, this might be a pretty close match. It's called I Am the Thinker.
I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. And if you ask me who am I am wisdom, I am light, so much more than meets the eye. I'm keeping this in mind. And I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. And if you ask me what am I am stillness, I am joy, so much more than meets the eye. I'm keeping this in mind. And I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts have the power to change my life. I can choose to be the light, brighten up the darkest night, so much more than meets the eye. I'm keeping this in mind. And I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts that changes things that shape my life. I am the thinker who thinks the thoughts. I have the power to change my life. We have the power to change our life.
Thank you, Claire. That was a wonderful way for me to start the lesson, to hear your words, to focus on our creative power. We've talked about this before, but just as you're always breathing, at least I hope you are this morning, as Myrtle Fillmore said, you know, if I'm going to stay on this planet, I need to be healed. I need to breathe. But you're also creating. You're creating all the time. You're creating all the time. So the point is to consciously create, to create with intention, so that you don't accidentally, mindlessly, create strife, struggle, awkwardness, difficulty in your life by not consciously connecting your constant creating with your intention. Now, intention's a wonderful word. Its root means to stretch. Isn't that wonderful? Intention. Its root means to stretch. So when you intend to be a thinker, when you intend to be a child of light, when you intend to be a channel of love, when you intend to be prosperous, when you intend to be vital and energetic, that intention says, I am willing to stretch here. I am willing to stretch in my living and be a greater, fuller expression of that divine idea that I'm holding as the focus of my intention. Well, let me talk about another kind of intention. That is what I intended to do with my lessons at the beginning of the year. If you were here on the 9th and 16th, we reviewed at the beginning of our year, to start off right, our fundamental 5 principles of unity. And I thought, well, what am I going to follow that with? Well, I thought, I will intend and stretch that idea further. So just to recap, whether you were with me or not on the 2nd or the 9th and the 16th, the 5 basic principles of unity, 1 and 2, tell us God is always and everywhere present, absolute good. Principle 2, that divine presence is within each one of us. Therefore, we are inherently good. You may call it the indwelling Christ, the Christ within you, a divine spark. You may use different terms, but the idea is to understand that each one of us has a goodness at the very core of our being. So that was principle 1 and 2. Principles 3, 4, and 5 are about our ability to create. Principle 3, the law of mind action. Thoughts that we consistently hold in mind, outpicture in our life. Principle 4, prayer and meditation, or we might say spiritual practice in general, is our way to deeply connect with the source of our being. And then the 5th principle. Unity ministers have rewritten this in their own words many ways. Walk your talk. Myrtle liked, demonstrate the truth you know. But basically that principle is, it's not enough to just think and feel about these divine principles, these inner intentions. You have to act on it. Express it. This is what we mean when we say, I am willing to be a channel of infinite love. It means I am willing in my relationships with others, in how I work with others, to express loving qualities. Love that brings people together. That you appreciate the truth in all those with whom you work. So I thought, how do we go a little further in this creativity? Well, I think in a lot of our Unity and New Thought teachings, this focus on your power to create leads us to think that if I get just the right thought, just the right affirmation, just the right wording, and I stick with it, I'll always create exactly what I want in my life. That idea goes way back. A woman wrote to Myrtle Fillmore in the early 20th century and said, I'm doing all the things Unity teaches me to do. I'm holding all the right thoughts. I'm speaking all the right words. But yet my life I don't have it together. I still have problems. My husband is difficult. And she said, what am I doing wrong, Mrs. Fillmore? And Myrtle wrote back and said, your world is not entirely of your own making. She said, you live in a great world, a global humanity that carries a collective consciousness. And there is still thoughts in the human mind, the global mind, of violence, prejudice, selfishness, many things that are not yet perfected. And she said, dear one, you live in that. So sometimes it affects what you're experiencing in your life. Well, today, I want to take this creative formula and fine-tune it, as it were, to find a method to not just say, well, after church is over, I'm going to go next door to Holiday, and I'm going to get my Powerball ticket, and I'm going to say, I'm going to win, I'm going to win, I'm going to win, I'm going to win. Let's fine-tune this process of creating what we desire in our life. Well, we have several clues I hope to bring up today. In our unity teaching of affirming the good we want to experience, we may start out by affirming a certain outer goal. I want this certain result. And I'm starting out here in the world. I'm going to make it happen out there in Bloomington. But that is working from the outside in. And one of our fundamental ideas in unity is that everything begins as a thought, an inner idea, yes, enwrapped with feeling, but it starts within us before it can express in our life. When we think that it starts out there in Bloomington, we're just grasping at straws. What we want is to have a conviction of our creativity, that it begins in mind. One of you this week told me about awakening to what the power of power up here in the purple window, what that means and why it's associated with the human larynx or voice box. Charles said that divine power is the ability to take a silent inner idea and to form it through vibrations as our spoken word, and that's its first appearance in the world, from our mind into the world through the vibration of speech. And that's why he called that faculty of power one of our 12 powers. That we can speak our truth. We can speak these inner ideas into existence. But today we want to fine-tune. Jesus gave us a formula. He seemed to have a formula or a way of approaching life in a creative way. You've heard it many times. Seek first the kingdom of God, the truth within you, and all the outer things will naturally come to you. Seek first within. Paul, in the early development of the Christian community, spoke to the people at Colossae and said, Christ in you, the hope of glory. Christ in you, the hope of glory. Now, I was taught in Unity Ministerial School to think of that word glory as actually awesome manifestation. Glory might be kind of a religious, odd word. My instructor said, think of it as awesome manifestation. So the Christ, the ultimate truth within your being, is your hope of glory, your hope of manifesting good in your life and in your world. But let's turn another direction. Let's be a little less religious in our terminology. And I'm going to turn to the clinical psychologist, Dr. Maria Nemeth, in her book, Mastering Life's Energies. She speaks of our intentions, our life intentions, not so much in religious terms, but how they are the foundational powers within us. She writes, life intentions are a way of being. In themselves, they don't point to specific actions or goals. Instead, they exist as possibilities that call us in a fundamental way. They can be a source of vitality for us no matter what is going on out here in our life. Life intentions reveal what is right about us rather than what we think is wrong. They indicate our ideals and priorities, not our failings or perceived lacks. If your life intentions are the purposes you have come here to live from, they are intrinsic to who you are. You may therefore use them as a stable seat upon which you can sit and look out into the shifting landscape of your life. And I ask, oh, no one's in the back row. Tom, could you help pass out from the trays that are in the back row where Lindy and Bob usually are? As the tray comes around, you're going to get a copy of Maria Nemeth's Life Intention Inventory. I just want you to have it. We'll look at it briefly and take it home and do more work on it if you will. In that list, you'll see a variety of life intentions that Maria Nemeth has collected from students in her workshops over, probably about the last 30 years. And she's seen these trends. And so you may think of another life intention, and you can add it to the bottom of your list. But from all of her experience with thousands of people, this list is pretty comprehensive. Thanks, Heidi. Now, as we look at these life intentions, the purpose is, before we start using our creativity and focusing on desires, goals in our life, wouldn't it be good to begin by looking at the intentions at the very core of our being? What is most important? What are our highest priorities? And then create from there. So I invite you to glance over them for a few minutes. Then when you have more time at home, you can rate them as the instructions at the top indicate. And then see what 4 or 5 come out as most important, the highest priority in your life. And I will share with you mine so you get the idea. Several that I picked out, and then I can fine-tune which ones are most important to me. 1, by my career, I think it's pretty clear that I have a life intention to be spiritually developing. And a similar one, to be an effective minister. Regardless of what you think about me as your minister, you certainly want me to at least have an intention to be an effective minister. But some you may not be aware is I am willing to be an adventurer, to be well-traveled. That's a calling to me to explore. I desire to be a generous friend to those I call my friend. Well educated. I've always been willing to learn. And now at my advanced age I'm still willing to learn. And then I added in the blank space she left open for me, a caregiver. I am willing to be a caregiver. Now, Maria suggests some of these, you'll notice, have been intentions with you your whole life. And some have come powerfully into your life for a certain period. For example, I felt a strong intention to be a caregiver as I cared for my parents until their passing. That's when it was most potent for me, willing to be their caretaker. So I invite you to work on those at home and spend a little time. And then Maria suggests you write on a separate card your most powerful life intentions and carry it around a day or two and look at it several times a day and see how they fit. Notice these life intentions are not about doing a specific project, they're more about what you're willing to be. We might say an inner calling. And here is how they might express in actual projects. For example, I'm willing to be a creator of beauty. I can plant a beautiful flower garden or help Carlotta work on the landscape outside. I'm willing to be an adventurer. I can decide to hike the Appalachian Trail. I'm willing to be a generous friend. I take my best friend on a picnic and plan everything. I'm willing to be financially successful. I review my finances with a professional financial planner. There are countless things that you can creatively do once you're in touch with these life intentions, so that you are creating from these places of being within your soul what is important to you. And there were several on these that don't connect with me. We don't do them all. There are certain intentions that just naturally claim your attention. Work with those and create from there. And you may discover, as I have, that when I'm affirming a certain outcome and I'm becoming frustrated because nothing seems to be happening, it doesn't seem to be coming into fruition in my life, go back to these intentions of mine and see if this creative dream or project or goal, does it relate to those intentions? For example, I might affirm, I want the most expensive car available. The very best. And I keep holding that thought. Nothing seems to happen. I can go back and look at my life intentions. And as having the most expensive car available, can I really see that as an expression of one of my important life intentions? And I might discover that it doesn't have a strong connection. I'm speaking about me, my life. You have different desires and you have different intentions than I do, and that's the way it should be. Can you imagine if we all had exactly the same intentions and wanted to manifest exactly the same things? I like the diversity. It's a lot more interesting to see what Francine's going to come up with that's different than what I come up with. Now here we take another turn to another great teacher in unity, Eric Butterworth. He said something that was kind of shocking to his people in New York. He did that often, actually. He said, we don't get what we want, what we affirm, or even what we pray for. We get what we expect. That is what we focus on. That's a tricky part in our creativity. Sometimes we just mindlessly affirm over and over. We ask a prayer chaplain to pray with us for a certain goal or manifestation in our life. But Eric turns the attention back upon our inner life and says, Gerald, you will gracefully and quickly get what you expect. Not what you affirm with words, that may be helpful. Not what you pray for, that may be helpful. But the bottom line is what you expect from life. Because what you expect is what you carry most consistently through your days. For example, when you go to Mall of America and you have an idea of shopping for a certain thing, you might affirm it, you might pray about it here at the church. But the result is going to come with the expectation you carry into that mall. You carry an expectation of, oh, they're always sold out of my size. The stores will be so crowded. What I'm looking for is probably out of stock. These expectations, these focus of our mind, play an important, decisive role in what we manifest. I love this old story from the Quaker tradition. A newcomer came to a small town, and he met an old gentleman sitting in front of the general store. And he asked him, what are people like in this town? I'm thinking of moving here. The old man asked him, well, what are the people like in your hometown? The man said, well, they tend to be greedy, dishonest, suspicious. And the old man said, oh, that's how the people are here. What the newcomer was expecting, the old man said, he will find. Butterworth also cautions us that we must be aware of when we are short-circuiting our visions and goals with mindless talk that undermines what we want. You can listen to others. It's a very interesting experience. It's a lot more frightening to listen to yourself. When you've been working with a creative imagining project like this, and you pray about it, you affirm about it, you consider how it fits into your life intentions, your priorities, try to really watch yourself. See if you go downstairs when we're serving coffee, visiting with others, and talk about Murphy's Law. You know, if anything can go wrong with my car, it will. If anything can go wrong at work, it will. They say Eric Butterworth used to get furious if anyone in his Unity Center spoke about Murphy's Law. And he said, why are you repeating that to yourself? Why don't you reverse it and say, if anything can possibly go right in my life, it will? Things like Murphy's Law, or you get a new idea, and immediately the mind says, oh, I've tried that before, Francine. It never works. You've undermined your vision. You've short-circuited it with loose talk. You know, I never win anything. Be watchful. Are you short-circuiting what you're trying to create in your life? In his book, Practical Metaphysics, and also in some of his other writings, Butterworth creates a simple formula for manifesting true desires. And I think it relates to this idea of examining our life intentions, as Maria Nemeth outlines, or that key phrase of Jesus, seek first the kingdom of true ideas within you. And then all the outer things will fall into line and come to you as you need them. In his book, he comes up with a formula, C plus B equals A. C plus B equals A. What is he talking about? He says, what we can conceive, the C, from our inner being, like our life intentions. What you can conceive and get really excited about are those intentions that are important to you. Is who you want to be in life. A generous friend. Financially successful. A creative artist. You've got the list. So C, what we can conceive, plus B, and which means believe. And I define that as consistently focus upon. To believe, we have to really give our attention. Equals A, what we can creatively achieve without struggle, without strife, without pain, without suffering. Easily and gracefully it comes into our life. Because first we conceived it and how it relates to our life intentions. Then we believed it. We focus on it. We don't undermine it with mindless talk. Then it can be achieved easily, beautifully, gracefully in our life. Henry David Thoreau wrote in his famous book, Walden, about his experience at Walden Pond. This beautiful quote, I suggest you hold it in meditation. Let it sink into your bones. He said, if you have built castles in the air, your work need not be lost. Now build foundations under them. If you have built castles in the air, Thoreau says that's where they should be. They're your ideals, your life intentions. Don't give up. Get busy and build foundations on earth under these castles in the air. Your life intentions are spiritual powers within you. The creative vision. What you want to be. What God brought you into this world to be. So they're not down here on earth per se. They're in the great spiritual infinite mind of God, of which you are a part. But now, as Thoreau said, build foundations on earth for those castles, those ideals in the air. In a more fundamental, perhaps Midwestern way, Charles Fillmore wrote in his book Prosperity, which was published during the Great Depression of the 1930s, if you want prosperity in your life, if that's an important intention for you, then do the things that make for prosperity. If you want loving, harmonious relationships, do the things that make for love and harmony. Or that contemporary phrase we all know well, if you want a friend, be a friend. From these insightful teachers, I hope you've caught the theme of this lesson. We can start with our creativity by grasping something we want in the outer world, or we can begin within. As Jesus said, to seek first that kingdom of God, that ultimate truth within you. It's not out there in Bloomington. It's within you. Using Maria Namath's terms, what we have come into life to be. Meditate on that. What are your intentions? That list I gave you is just a starting point to pique your interest. What are the priorities in your life? Now that you have those clearly in mind, then create projects, dreams, and goals to bring those intentions into reality in your life. How many times have you said yourself, or a friend, or even someone here at Unity South, said, well, I bought my Powerball ticket next door at Holiday. I'm going to win the Powerball. I'm going to win the Powerball. I'm going to win the Powerball. And you don't. Go back to your life intentions. Is winning the Powerball an obvious expression of one of the high priorities in your life intention list? If you feel that it is, I give you permission to leave right now and go next door and get that ticket. Maybe that is a manifestation of an intention that's important to you. But I know when I look at my list, it's like, well, yes, it is a possibility that I could win the Powerball, but it's not an obvious expression of my list of life intentions. So my lesson title today, Intention, Attention, then Invention. Don't start trying to create something in your life without first considering what are the priorities in my life intentions. What am I paying attention to consistently in my life? When you've got those two in line, now you can invent, create gracefully, without struggle and strain, lovingly, generously. Create these visions that you are capable of. but let them be expressions of the high priorities in your life. Well, I'd like to conclude with a moment in the silence to seal, by a classic silent unity prayer, to seal in your individual mind. And this prayer can help you hold friends, family members, loved ones in their truth as well. It's May Rowland's prayer, Child of Light. So I invite you to close your eyes. Let these beautiful words fill you. Child of light, I bless you. I think of you. I pray for you. Not in terms of what I think you need or what I think you should do or be or express. I lift up my thoughts about you. I see you as you truly are, a holy child of God. I see you guided and directed by an inward spirit that leads you unerringly into paths that are just right for you. I see you strong and whole. I see you blessed and prospered. I see you courageous and confident. I see you capable and successful. I see you free from all limitations of any kind. I see you as the spiritually perfect being you truly are. Child of light, I bless you. See yourself as God's child of light. When you hold another in prayer, see them as God's child of light, with their own unique intentions that they can creatively, gracefully bring into expression in their life and their world. And so it is. I invite you to allow your attention to return to this outer room. And as you do, and as you leave today, if you don't remember a word that I said, and that is a possibility, please remember this. You are always creating. Every moment, every day. So consciously create. From the very center of your being, where your life intentions or priorities live. And then you'll have the joy in life of expressing from who you truly are. Thanks be to God. Wow. World of wonder in which we all live. Claire, would you wrap this in some beautiful music?
So growing up, I had a really a close relationship with my grandparents, my mother's parents. My dad's parents, I never got to know. But these grandparents were amazing. My mother was lucky to have such great parents, and I was lucky to have such great grandparents. And my grandmother played for silent movies, and she gave me voice lessons when I was probably starting at about 3, and piano lessons in first grade, which I hated, because she was just a half a block from my grade school. And I could hear the kids playing at recess at noontime, and I wanted to be out there playing too. But, that's okay. And my grandfather always used to ask me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I thought, well, I don't know. And he'd say, "Hitch your wagon to a star. And if you fall short, you'll be farther than if you hadn't." So this song that I'm going to play today by Mary Chapin Carpenter kind of talks about it starts out a little dark, but it ends up someplace really beautiful. It's called "Why Walk When You Can Fly."
In this world there's a whole lot of sorrow. In this world there's a whole lot of pain. In this world there's a whole lot of trouble, but a whole lot of ground to gain. Why take when you could be given? Why watch as the world goes by? It's a hard enough life to be living. Why walk when you can fly? And in this world there's a whole lot of sorrow. In this world there's a whole lot of shame. In this world there's a whole lot of sorrow, but a whole lot of ground to gain. Why spend your whole life wishing, waiting and wondering why? It's a long enough life to be living. Why walk when you can fly high, fly high? And in this world there's a
Thank you, Claire. We are grateful for all the gifts sent by mail or given online or received in this sanctuary. Together, we will keep this ministry energized to complete its important mission so that all who turn to Unity South will be embraced, loved, and empowered by our collective consciousness. Please hold your gift in hand or mind, for this is our sacred offering as we affirm together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all the good that I am and have, all the good that I give and receive, and I am grateful. Those in the sanctuary may leave their offerings in the container at the door, and our closing song is the peace song.
The intention. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Now, if one of your life intentions is to enjoy the sweetness of life, I suggest you go down and pre-order some Valentine's cookies. Have a great day.